Can you believe how cool those graphics were? Welcome to the next round of Misconfiguration Madness. We got Mally, Josh Copeland, and Austin Arsenault joining us to announce this round's competition. So, first time doing this, guys. How was the round of 32 teams? Any vibes?
Man, I'd hesitate to go first, myself. But no, it was I had way more fun than I had anticipated. Like, I felt complete nerdism with other nerds. Other people have talked about how great nerdy it was. A couple of people poked at some of my stupidity on some of the settings. Like, it was the whole package. I did not expect that to be so fun. And I think it's probably one of the better uses of LLMs I've seen in a while. Is just start arguments, man. It's fantastic.
I think getting us to actually debate the already, pre-AI chosen results was the most entertaining. And I will note, I did fill out the rest of the bracket, so I have some inside scoops, and there is a dark horse that makes it way farther than they should. But Josh, what do you think? You're just as presentable as Matt in all the places. What do you think of this event?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I would say, as a, somebody who does like to bet occasionally, I got SMB going all the way.
Oh,
wow.
Now there are two SMB settings, to be clear. There's just the disable, and then there's disable client driver. Those are two different.
Hey, he wasn't wanting to split hairs so he could claim whichever one of them win. Why are you going to be like that, Zach? Dang.
Come on, man.
The matchup might happen. I don't know how the LLM's going to react.
We'll see how this plays out, but one of the SMBs is going all the way. To Matt's point, being able to geek out and nerd and actually talk what the settings really do and how that works is very interesting, because you either know it or you don't, and if you don't, it becomes readily apparent if you do not know what you're talking about.
And Matt, before I ask Austin, Josh gave his winner. Do you have a guess from last week's experience? Anyone come to mind?
Let's see. I have to rewind back 7 streams ago and come back to, was it Cryptograph? No, man, I have no idea. We're just gonna let it go by. I'm gonna be more the hype guy on this one, man. I'm gonna be the hype guy on this one.
And Austin, I mean, your perspective, man, new to Sensia, new to the whole industry. What's it like watching these two SMEs battle it out and choose a winning setting?
It is so much fun because I'm learning a lot, but it's not like reading the CIS benchmark, which, by the way, like 1,300 pages of just boring stuff. Oh, brutal to read that. But like hearing it in terms that I can understand is awesome. It's just fun to have the debate. And then, like you said, checking and seeing what ChatGPT, our unbiased third party, ultimately decides. Whether we agree, disagree is always fun. Yeah.
Immediate reaction
from both of us too, like guttural reaction, right? Like
as far as winners, I filled out the bracket with my heart, and
just like jersey colors on setting names.
Yeah.
Just like Purdue, I think my pick is going to get bounced a little bit earlier than I want to, but ACT as part of an operating system is my dark horse. I want them to go all the way. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'll be fun to see how it all plays out, and I'm just thankful that y'all joined us.
And I got to be honest with you, ACT is part of the operating system from the connotation potentially of access to TPMs and stored secrets and the ability to get nonces, and I don't know, man. You might be onto something, Austin. You might be onto something.
Hey, broken clock works twice a day.
I mean, if I had to pick another one, that one is not a bad choice.
It's not a bad one. Yeah, like for real. Yeah.
And speaking of those bracket winners, let's take a look at how this bracket played out. So let me zoom in a little bit. So we're going to be
I'm old.
Reviewing this round of 32 today. We're going to be kicking off with some SMB matchup. I think audit policy might get blown out. And there was an additional rule added. If it's a blowout game, LLM, please feel free to break 100. We'll see if we have that.
Oh, wow.
Episode. Got some feedback.
He's already dead.
Got some feedback from one of the panelists saying it won't ever go over 100, so I had to fix that.
Yeah.
But now autoplay, good old SMB, the other one, and we're gonna see where this ends up taking us. C-Hop was one we were all a little surprised about making it to the next round, but it's gonna be fun.
Wait! You let it go to 100, over 100 now, which means you had to influence the LLM in some way to
I
say,
did
please allow the game to go to
influence
100, which
in
also
re-
means you have modified the outcome of this game in some way, and we might already be like operating with new rules in the game. I'm blown. Mine just
The slides will
Here is
represent.
my red flag.
Yes,
Oh, never mind.
the blowouts happen in March Madness, and when you called out personally, you called out that none of these games went
I
over
did.
100.
I know.
I saw there was an error in the LLM's constraints.
I know. I did cause this.
All right. So to kick us off, just to remind all of the new listeners, we are having 3 key rules. When we talk about these settings, we are assuming there's nothing else on the system. This is just a default out-of-the-box Windows box, server box. There are some browser settings mixed in here as well, but there's no additional security, no EDR, no whitelisting, nothing else in place. And we will talk about these settings during a countdown timer. We will choose our winners, and ultimately the winner is already pre-decided by a hopefully unbiased an LLM to provide the following prompt and tell us what the score is. The higher the score, just like in basketball, the more like, well, the winner they are. And we will, however you phrase that. Anyone ever host live and just forget what they're saying?
No, doesn't happen.
With all of that said, as the quick reminder, let's kick into that first matchup, which I do believe is SMB. So we have the client driver being disabled versus the good old audit pool setting for audit, security, state change success. And before we talk about this one, I did adjust the slides instead of key stats.
Where's the medium thing?
Yeah, because of the key stats, the panel here started to realize if they just looked at the key stats, the LLM kind of gave away the winner. We decided to change it up with the top attributes. So SMB1, man, their blocking skills, their evasion, it's pretty impressive.
That's an easy translation. That's fair. We're good. I think we'll be fine.
They call SMB1 the legacy eliminator going up against the change tracker.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
This is terrible.
This is misconfiguration madness.
I don't know. I feel like if you were just approaching this from absolutely disabling something versus the audit, the security state change, I'm with you. I'm going to say probably the LLM gives it to the SMB. I'm with Josh on this one. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it does.
It's got to be SMB.
It absolutely has to be.
Blowout.
And it's the first game to break 100.
I feel bad for the family that flew in to see audit security state show up on the court, right? That's a whooping. I mean, I don't know how to say it. That's a whooping. Means already head comes to mind for sure.
They're just happy to be here.
You know, it wasn't just a straight, complete ass whooping. It was they got some in.
That's true. True. They scored. They did score a bunch, right? Yeah.
The second half came in and they tossed in their second string, and we got.
And if I'm arguing for it, really, there's a challenge of this because the SMB V1 takes one weapon out of the threat actor's quiver, but the audit security state change success takes the blindness of the securities team after post fact. Did I eradicate? Did I contain? What else did they do? How else? I don't remember.
But again, it goes back to the rules of the tournament.
Oh, that's right. See, thanks for the reminder. That's right. It's always the opposition that seems to remind me of that. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but
Josh really backing up his winner for this tournament, not letting that slide by. Soon these timers should start going on their own, and we do have the dark horse.
We have been staring at it, haven't we?
The system sentinel, if you will, took on the court against the RPC enforcer. So we have the active part of the operating system and RPC packet level privacy. Austin, you want to kick off this one?
Yeah,
I have a feeling who you want.
According to the rules of this, we're looking at each setting in a vacuum, right? So for me, I got to go with my dark horse. You already know I'm going with it. Act as part of an operating system, just shutting down the ability for someone who already has access to the system to bypass whatever access controls you have in place. Like, I value that more than the setting that allows you to maybe like sniff out the credentials to then, get access to whatever you need. But like act as part of the operating system, like that is like a quote unquote golden ticket, if you will, or some
It's
bad
also one of the
actors to get in.
pre-stagers in my mind of being able to offload things that are in maybe a higher orbit than you, right? Getting rid of some of EDR's purview and ability to see, because you now have operating system capability to start picking away at those things potentially, or taking advantage of exploits to bypass or things of that nature. So yeah, I'm with you, Austin. You sold me earlier on with your passion, man. I believe in this team. I believe in them. I think they're a young team, but they're going to make it through.
We're scrappy. I appreciate
Josh,
it.
any pushback here? Any opposition?
No, RBC packet level it's important,
Sure.
but it's not going to beat against acting as the operating system. That's just within the rules of the tournament, just a no-brainer. But I don't think this one will be a blowout.
And
Nah,
it was much closer, but
much
it
closer.
was
Yeah.
the Cinderella story of the System Sentinel moving on.
Austin, did you get that mortgage for the bet you were talking about earlier for going with this one as the dark horse? I was just checking if you. Oh, my bad.
Don't tell my wife.
I
I was sweating it for a while there.
We might have to start coming out with halftime scores once we get to the Final Four and start to second guess ourselves.
Next year, I'll make some Vegas odds.
Oh, now we got us a clock.
Man,
Limits
the
unnecessary
pressure
data
is
exposure versus blocks malicious files. So diagnostic data off.
Almost comes down to who's more passionate about your privacy or an actual malicious attack going on.
Yeah, it's going to be the right side. Yeah, I'm going to call this one out. 86-74. Yeah.
I'm going to say it's probably going to be closer to 100 to 80.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Down
Another triple figure this early.
Oh, do I get a beer delivery? A food delivery? That's even better.
Oh, man. Halftime show sponsored by Sension Managed Endpoint Security. And we'll call it here as Matt pulls out food. It was actually more of a blowout than we expected.
Oh, man. Even I bet it's more than Josh even said. Gosh.
And this is one setting I want to call out. The Privacy Defender here is actually only applicable to your 2022 server profiles. This one has a different name for workstations and even 2019. So different recommendation, different setting. Good old Microsoft loves inconsistencies.
You said they beat FSU. I didn't know you meant they beat Faulkner State University. Come on, man. Come on.
All right. Who do we got here? The simultaneous internet or domain connections going head against the LAN manager hash, the connection controller going against the hash protector. What do we got here?
I'll go first. I'm going to say, it's going to be the do not store LAN manager hash enabled all day long. Yes, from a big picture, I want to, know how many connections I have and who those connections are.
Sure.
I'm talking pure, just individual settings. Having the hash not stored properly, that's the one that's going to cause the most issues.
And
I'm with you. Look, to make a SpongeBob reference, I gotta prevent the hash slinging slasher from coming in and demolishing these non-complex passwords and getting access to everything. So while it's nice to prevent tunneling via I'm connected to the VPN, but I'm also at the airport. Whatever, like I gotta go with do not store LAN manager hash.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Will the hash-slinging hasher be moving on? We will see that. And it's a blowout. It was a no-brainer, just like the announcers here called out. The hash protector to the next round.
I'm starting to question some of these divisional matchups, bro.
You may think that these were just randomly selected bracket terms, and we maybe should have selected the fightings a little bit more seriously.
No idea.
It's funny, as we do get to the Final Four and even the Elite Eight, these discussions will get a little bit more intense. All right, we got the credential cleaner against the credential gatekeeper. We're talking a little bit of access versus actually reducing the credential storage memory method. So what do we got here? Access or how it's stored?
My initial reaction is it's going to be the trusted caller API abuse, but I think I'm probably wrong. I think it's probably the credentials in memory and exploits of being able to extract those. I don't know. I'm on the fence, man. It's a close one.
So
Be a close matchup.
I'll say, WDigest authentication disabled will win because it's already a well-known lateral movement and privilege escalation attack vector. Not that, credential manager, trusted caller to no one is great either, but I think there's just more well-known exploits for WDigest.
Yep.
And that's fair, but like I'm with Matt. I went with my heart, and I want to just block the access. So I went with Access Credential Manager, but we'll see how it plays out.
It's
okay.
interesting. It's a good.
I think the names the LLM has given them is going to both give us an understanding of what they think it is, but also it is going to give us an understanding that might be incorrect because they try to fancify them a little bit, right? And so you're like, I'm a gatekeeper for this one tiny little thing we're doing this with. Yeah,
I think it's funny the way you guys described it here too, as like low-hanging fruit, right? These are the low-hanging attacks that someone entry would use with lateral movement, taking care of WDigest, and then
they're there because they work. Like
someone more mature might need to take advantage of the lateral.
Oh, my initial gut was right. Oh my god,
the upset.
Wow.
This is
and I think it's the gatekeeper and the way they thought about it is how important it is that nobody can be trusted. I'm with Josh though. I stay left in my head on this one, but my heart is to the right.
You're telling me that Mimikatz is not as important as Access Credential Manager? I have to call shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one.
Oh boy, let's see what other upsets we have in store for us. Print Nightmare. There's a good one. The Print Lockdown Specialist against the Home Court Defender, which, as a side note, is probably my favorite name the LLM gave a setting because Private On was
a Home Court Defender.
Hilarious.
I stay in the paint as long as I can. I don't even know if I used that right. Probably not. All right, so I'm going to stay Firewall.
If you use Firewall on the right side,
I'm going Firewall.
It's just going to shut it all down.
It's like,
I think I'm going to go with Print Spooler.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to go because this is private, not public. So I think I'm going to
fair.
The
private's on lateralization, and then the other one's on remote exploitation as a printer, but that'd have to still be on the same network. And I think that would then come into a private, and I feel like it's going to go to the right. Maybe I'm wrong. I like to be wrong sometimes. It helps keep me humble.
Let's see. So
I'm humbled very often, in case you guys were wondering.
Same. Expert just means I've tried a lot. Doesn't mean that I'm right a lot. Yes.
All right, Windows Firewall Private against Print Nightmare.
Why are we dragging this out, man?
Coming out. Ooh,
yeah.
It was Firewall.
Yeah.
Josh, a little bit. You had a pretty hot round of 64. Round of 32 is looking a little more madness in store for you.
Yeah, this is a little rough.
You want to give one last defense for the private firewall pick? Why this one maybe could have? Print Spooler maybe could have pulled through.
I mean, legitimately, Print Nightmare. That is case closed. Print Nightmare.
Yeah. Here's the way I see it. One says specialist. Listen to the left. Listen to the way they think the LL thinks. On the left, it's a specialist. You only need to be here when it's a printer. On the right, man, you're protecting that home court, bro. All that passion. Look at how he looks at it. That's why it's 97.85.
I love that you're reading into the names.
That's what I do.
All right. Turn off autoplay for all drives. The perimeter protector, reading into that, against the client connection encryption is set to high. The encryption expert. Notable worthy. Obviously, the top attributes here, we got credentials on the right-hand side, not on the left, but we do have the attack surface reduction. How's the LLM prioritizing these settings?
I love that. Go ahead. Go, Austin. Go.
I was going to say, take a time out. Forget about the LLM for a minute. From a personal standpoint, I'm going off, turn off autoplay. I do not need to hear another Ozempic or O'Reilly's commercial automatically
and Steve, I'm
playing
gonna correct
when
and
I
say
click on ESPN.
autoplay for the most part is already disabled in Windows 10, Windows 11 for the most part, right? One has to focus on turning it on. Even then, the limited capabilities, there's no autoplay run files. There's no methodologies of loading it through some of the old ways. So like I actually went through this process, and I would say I feel very hard that's probably a nothing burger. Why they even call it the perimeter protector? My gut is it just had to hallucinate something to say something about that archaic methodology of attack. Is that talking about HID attacks with keyboard injections? No, sir. No, this is only talking about autoplay of malware, and we are starting to see less malware, more living off the land, more control V attacks, and I'm just going hard right on encryption high.
I mean, I am a cryptography professor, so
Yep, there it
is. Just on principle, cryptography is important.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, let's knock out this cold streak from the last couple games, and let's get the winner. Ooh, a little close.
Close though,
we
bro.
did pull it off.
I have no idea how we were that scrappy because you guys are definitely right. And
I will remind the LLM, I don't need to put anything in an autoplay. You're just going to leave your laptop unlocked in the middle of an airport lounge.
Oh yeah,
I needed a refill or a bathroom break. I mean,
or if you don't leave it unlocked, you're just going to connect to the Centurion Lounge network and don't have any on, so I can just get it in.
Downgrade your encryption.
Not all of us are in that Centurion Lounge. I'm doing the Indianapolis.
I know. I'm talking about my United U
here.
Club, and my boys over here, Centurion Lounge. You know what I mean? Like, dang.
Pinky's up.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Flew...
Mr. Copeland, would you like another warm towel?
No, I want my massage when I'm at Dallas.
Okay, fair, touche.
Meeting Josh out at CornCon to share, I rode row 34 back of the plane on my layover flight. The absolute harassment I received for the next 48 hours about being back of plane Zach was quite ridiculous.
Oh man, that's nice. That's rough.
Oh,
all right,
man.
What do we have next here? What's up in this fight?
Oh well, we got both SMB settings going head to head against audit pool settings.
Do I want to know about all the failures and successes, or do I want the ability to attack me with a legacy protocol that is so usable that I can beat you to death with a wet noodle? I think I'm going right. I'm with Josh on this one, SMB. Maybe I'm wrong.
Personally, I wouldn't want to watch myself getting beat, so the security watchdog is probably not the move for me. I would definitely stick to SMB.
Yeah, SMB all day long, especially when you're comparing it against just a logging setting. I'm like, this isn't actively doing anything to protect anything. It's just telling you what happened. SMB all day.
I agree. Within the confines of the game, the bracket challenge,
That's
I'm
right.
with you 100%. And I think, Matt, what was that quote that you had last week? If your grandfather maybe said, if you give me a rock, I'm going to beat you with it.
Jump me in a rock pile, and I'll sure as hell beat you to death with a rock. Yeah.
Bingo.
That's exactly right. Remember, we're not having anybody else to watch these logs. So all we're going to have is somebody looking over these bones and going, well, looks like they logged in for a long time before he died. It's not all that valuable in that context, right? It's unfortunate, but yeah.
Been laying in those rocks for a while.
Man, there's a rock right there. And, I see what happened here.
Whoa. 100.
Wow.
Again, that's the second one?
It's a blowout.
Yep, there we go. Oh, man. SMB.
Oh, they called it the SMB stopper. Oh, man. Look at that.
All right. Oh, we got some good stuff here. The Oracle encryption, Oracle remediation force updated clients. The Oracle Defender going against requires site isolation. The isolation defender. We got two defenders head to head.
Yeah.
This is browser versus OS. What do we have here? I think I know where Matt's going to go. Matt's all in on browser hardening, but let's see where your pick is. Josh, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I have to go with the encryption because, I'm the encryption professor.
Yep.
So that's a given. But ultimately, this is giving direct access to the core system where the other one is, you got to get a browser in first. So I think the Oracle remediation is more important between the two, even if I wasn't just, a cryptography professor.
I would say, if I had to guess, in my problem, I always love to have my ransomware deployment protocol secure as I can make it. So I'll say that's a factor. And to Josh's point, it gives you direct access to the system, stops AITMs, but I still have to AITM you or man in the middle you to get there. I would probably say that it's more likely I find you in a browser where I can do things of cross-site and attacks between websites across browsers. I believe it's probably the isolation defender in my mind, but I think it's close enough that we're not going to see a blowout. Yeah.
I think he'll be with the 10 points.
Yeah,
I would agree with
I
that.
think you guys both make great points, but me, again, filling out the bracket with my heart, I love the Matrix trilogy, and I guess I made a fourth one, but forget that. So I'm going with the Oracle Defender, and that's where my heart lies, and my bracket ended
You did
up.
the fourth one, so I don't know. Is it a quality at that point?
If that fourth movie would have been good, we may have had a winner. Unfortunately, Matt Lee takes it. Not unfortunately. Congratulations.
That is 4 points, Josh. That was a wild game, dude. Let's go get a beer after this game. That was a good one.
They actually say at halftime, in Oracle Remediation was winning.
I will say to just add some color commentary on this, like if you're still using RDP as a primary means of business, I would probably just do a little self-assessment, like in my heart. All right, I'll move on and get off my.
You can all use a little self-assessment.
I probably just triggered Josh there. I'm sorry, buddy, but
any post-game analysis here, Josh? To the comment or the game?
Literally, the number of people I've seen still use RDP as a means to do their day-to-day operations is. I need another drink.
Fair.
All right. The next lineup we got is prevent file sharing within profiles going against admin approval mode, the data defender versus the elevation enforcer. I love these names, guys. By the way, I really do appreciate this naming scheme.
Is within profiles meaning in my same profile or within
I
multiple profiles on the same system?
I do believe this is a browser profile, by the way, guys, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
That is helpful.
Profiles on the same system. I would say the admin approval mode enabled, privilege escalation is always going to be,
I'm with you on that.
The biggest stopper.
The elevation enforcer. The data defender. He's a stalwart. All right, sorry.
You have no idea. The next major show, we're all going to be dressed as these names.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll be the elevation enforcer.
There will be
I'll be Macho Man Misconfiguration. We'll get it going.
The data always rises to the top.
I'm going with the escalation as well. I think it's where we're going to find it. What was the points? It says blankety blank blank on blank blank.
And we had a little animation error. It was showing the whole time, but we have a little bit of a blowout here. Admin approval mode enabled is
the elevation enforcer is just a dude with like a hammer knocking people back down. You know what I mean? Like the big sized hammer. Yeah. No.
I hear elevation enforcer. I'm like an air traffic controller.
Right. Like, it should be escalation enforcer, technically. Like, not to split hairs with the LLM, but
that is actually a good call out.
They're taking elevate privileges and translating it into escalation of privileges in my mind, which I get. Like, I follow. Yeah.
All right. This next game here. Ooh,
it's not called Priv-L.
We talked about the home court defender. We now have the road warrior with the public firewall.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. I don't know. Insecure guest logins, though, firewall on or not. If I have a service that's on and I can be a guest through that service, then I'm allowed in. It's not an identity firewall. I don't know, man. I'm torn between public firewall on or off. The only thing means nothing else will stop me if I'm a guest and I can sign in. I'm going guest gatekeeper. Final answer.
All right. No other layers of defense available. Still going with the guest logon. Interesting take, Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to go with guest login as well because ultimately insecure guest logons are actively dangerous. Like
right, like hey, sign in if you have nothing, but just type guest.
Like, now, granted, this is like a relic from Windows XP, but people still have it open and attackers still use it all the time, and hopefully you're using something other than Windows as your firewall on your device. So whether that's on or off doesn't matter. Or you're using...
We have no other tools in this case, Josh. Only this.
I said I hope. Not
I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Real world, I hope that you're using something other than Windows Firewall.
Or at least something in some way, form, shape, or otherwise. Yes.
All right, so you guys convinced me because in my bracket I had Windows firewall.
You're
public.
probably right, Austin. You've been right.
No,
before.
forget about that. Forget about that. But
Countdown.
I do not want either of you two to log in as a guest and screw everything up and take everything. So I'm
Firewalling
convinced me
against them.
You convinced me.
Hey, look, firewall's on, but this port's open. Guess.
Right.
And
about it.
Oh, the other way.
Bart would have
blowout.
taken it. Oh
Okay.
man. We're gonna have
All
to upload some raw attacker strategies here for more accurate.
Well, you know what though?
battle.
Maybe the argument is if it's guest firewall, you're in a guest network, and therefore you're presumably more exposed to people that might attack at the network layer. But I don't know. I'm a little beat down on this one, y'all. I gotta be honest with you. I'm taking this one tough.
I mean,
Any justification here for the winner here, Josh, or just complete
Yeah,
madness?
I can see an argument that if I'm on a public network and I have the firewall on and nothing's inherently open to where someone could potentially get on my box as a guest, maybe, but I still think in my heart of hearts that, insecure guest login should have won.
All right.
Purdue should have won too, but it is what it is.
Oh man, we got to move away from that game because I was up way too late that night watching, and it hurt.
You were up too late, sir. You're on California time. Some of us were up until 1 a.m.
Oh, NTLM v2
It's
versus
so funny.
UAC auto deny elevation for users.
Well, we got to first call out the privileged patroller. That's
Yeah,
another great one.
I'm going left. I'm going left on this one
The privileged
instead of NTLM
patroller could be
v2.
an Adam Sandler movie going against the authenticator. NTLM v2 only. We heard left from Matt on the UAC auto deny, which I will also call out. This is the most common exception across all MSP partners of Sention. Yep. All right, Josh, give a take.
This one's kind of hard. I'm going to go with, LMTM2 only being the one that matters a little bit more in a pure rules of the tournament 1-to-1, because if you don't have it, attackers can sniff and crack your all day long. And then you're going to have elevation anyway because you have an
If
admin
I can
account.
propose a modification for the LLM's rules in the future,
We got the Elite Eight coming up, so we can.
well, not for
definitely
this
make it
time,
happen.
but for next time, I got to argue. I think there's a value in saying that there's no other person already on the box, because then that would change so much more. Because if I'm on the box already, it changes how I'd see this, right? In the way that I look at it. So if I'm outside the walls, then it changes how I see this. I'd want to use the NTLM abuse. Yep.
We could definitely define a larger scenario. I like that. This is why this is an inaugural year.
This is a blast.
So I would just like to say, if you're calling the left side the UAC auto-denied Adam Sandler movie, the right side would either be a Denzel Washington movie or a Jason Statham movie.
Statham, for sure.
Yeah.
No,
The
this is
Beekeeper.
totally Denzel.
The Italian job. Like everything he did. Yeah. Anyways.
I don't know, man. Hubie Halloween would take on any setting in this bracket.
UB Halloween was amazing, but that's a discussion for another live stream.
And it was a head-to-head matchup. NTLM
so
does
close. It was
take
so
the
close.
setting. Josh is
I think
getting-
Josh's answer is why. And it goes back to the reason I brought that point up is if I don't have access, then I'd have to gain access in which to do it, and which NTLM2 might be a great way to get you to pass the hash to me that I can abuse you with. So I'm probably thinking Josh is right for that reason of getting access from a network.
Good call. Good call.
Bastard.
All right.
I mean, no, whoa, that was my inside voice. I'm so sorry. I might have slipped out.
All right. We got Kerberos encryption is configured correctly.
Oof.
Oh, man. And then we got minimum password length.
Guidance.
Oh, sorry, Josh. I talked over you. What'd you say?
Look, someone still hasn't read the newest NIST guidance on, passwords.
Oh, yeah, true. We're waiting on that CIS. What is it? Where are we at? V4 for the CIS benchmarks, Matt? Any updates, Mr. I think
I'm not involved in that
member?
particular part of the world, sir. I have no idea.
All right, well,
But I will. I'm gonna take Josh's guidance on this one, right? He's our encryption human, right? We got secure Kerberos versus long passwords. Man, both those are big old head up, Matt, right there. Yeah.
All right.
So I gotta go encryption because encryption, but password character length, complexity, and having the appropriate things in place and matters more than just the length along.
Agreed.
The countdown comes in. The sun sets. I did mention before today's round, there was an unexpected dark horse.
Yeah.
The password
No
length
way.
setting is
Yeah.
weighted hilariously high, it appears.
But
Wow.
if you, and this goes back to this point, if I'm not on the box and I'm looking at it from that approach, being able to crack your password is the first thing I'd like to do. Right. And so I would say, yeah, probably the longer the password, the more time it theoretically takes by calculation. To Josh's point, though, if they would add complexity to this, it would also make this exponentially higher value for that than just length. But they do say strong lengthy. So maybe I'm misreading this. Strong lengthy, strong and lengthy.
You know, that's actually a good point if the LLM is a little bit of its own self-influence, because that game day impact, strong, lengthy, strong is not part of that setting. That is a different entirely. It's like it might have been
misnamed.
Right?
Are you saying that there's some confusion when trying to interpret things that are written in plain English that are meant to mean something? You are blowing my
there might have
mind,
been
Zach
some
Kamowski.
deuce on one of the teams, and we might have a DQ on our hands.
Are you telling me that a massive large language model might not understand and might interject its own stuff and its own bias into something it produces? That's crazy talk.
He just threw his cup, everybody. Someone get this man a refill.
Oh, man.
This is
All
when
right.
Gronk did the roast and smashed a shot glass.
You've also made the mistake of saying we had a dark horse that went very far, so my gut says this one wins yet again. So I'll probably bet next time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
Roast me if the announcer misspoke, because his memory is
Maybe.
only so good. I will.
Yeah, mine too. It's really rough.
I can
I struggle.
attest to his poor memory. But,
Mine too. It's rough.
All right. We got update policy override auto updates. Note this is a browser hardening setting going against maximum password age less than 365. So the veteran defender up against the patch performer.
Has this thing read NIST?
This thing has not read NIST.
Okay.
All right.
fair question.
Fair question. That changes my answer.
Okay, where are you going to go, Josh? What are you going to go because of that? Because I know what it changes for me.
I mean, with that context that, our LMN hasn't read NIST and doesn't understand that age of password doesn't mean what it used to mean, I'd have to go with maximum age of password because, that's giving me greater access to the box rather than access to the browser software itself.
The interesting part is they have heavily favored browsers when it comes to known vulnerabilities in the past. I've seen the way this referee likes to throw them. I've seen how it goes sometimes. And I'm thinking it's going to weight the fact that if I do have a vulnerability, then the exploit against that box becomes instant, whereas the password must take me cracking it. I'm going to go left side on this one, y'all. I might be wrong.
Browser
That's my
again.
argument.
Austin,
I think it's within 10 points.
Okay, I agree. Yeah.
I think it'll be close, but give me the veteran defender. Give me Ed Reed. Give me Teddy Bruschi. Give me Zach Thomas. I'm going with maximum password age. But again, I go with my heart.
It's a relic. Duke doesn't win every time.
Yeah, and so is my grandma, but she's amazing. So,
Grandma would take the whole tournament. That's why we couldn't have
Grandma Rita. Yeah, she could take care of everybody. She's amazing. Anyways,
and at the buzzer, we actually have a bit of a blowout. Browser hardening just weighted heavier and heavier in these matchups.
But you know what? 9.1 and Phyllis Lee says, users, your network ends where your users' fingertips land. And a browser, my friend, is where I see everybody's fingertips every day. And that's where we're at, my man. That's where we're at.
But do you not have to put your password in every day to log on to your computer?
No, because you got one of them tokens that you can store for like 365 days and you never even actually put your... I mean, those long tokens in the browser are amazing. And if I can steal those juicy little bits...
Fair.
Token replay, baby.
Yep. Oh man! All right, what do we got coming up? We got disable custom SSPs, APs in LSAS going against the a UAC detect app installs and prompt for elevation is enabled. So we must prompt and gain elevation via a password credential.
I want to say there's 9 S's in that left side, just so you know, in the title. I just want to point it out. There's like 9. I know. 1, 2,
Wait,
3, 4.
is that an indicator of how close the game will be?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Oh man.
Right.
Oh. Prompts when users, so it just notifies me people tried to install something versus blocking credential theft modules like Metasploit and things that dump from LSAS. Josh, how do you feel on that one?
I'm trying to understand how the ref is thinking about this. And
Right. That is the point, isn't it?
We also want to educate the audience here, but but manipulating the LLM is entertaining. And while we're thinking about it, I will call out
That's not what I'm doing.
top attribute that has a 0-day resistance associated with on the left-hand team.
Yeah, it's definitely left for sure.
So yeah, I would definitely go with left because that's ultimately something that is stopping credential theft. However, I could make a case that if something is being installed, have a malicious attacker trying to do something. But to Matt's point, that is kind of the legacy way of doing things. Attackers are now doing living off the land, the binaries that are already on your box, which I wouldn't need to install. So I'm definitely leaning towards the LSAS.
Any buzzer beater opinions against or for?
I was feeling a little sassy, if you wouldn't mind humoring me. So yeah, I went with LSAS lockdown.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to click the screen. Go ahead.
You go.
In a wild turnout, the number of S's represented the number of points they won by.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so didn't plan that, but that's dope, actually.
That was hilarious.
So I did have to count the S's. It took me a second. And I was debating, do I count the small S's that are only like pluralization aspects? Or anyways, I digress. So the thing that I want to say, and I would ask anybody watching at home to think about is, we've seen a heavy weighting of browsers, and I don't disagree with that. I know these aren't browser specific, really, so humor me a sec. But we've seen a heavy weighting of browsers, and I would ask you to consider how many credentials are stored in your browser as tokens by comparison to in your LSAS dump and Active Directory credentialization type things nowadays. That's what I would ask you to think. Am I mainly signing things and then getting a token that I use, or am I mainly using this Active Directory credential that's stored in LSAS? And I know there's other things there, but my argument is you might find yourself to have the browser have more value and impact of your identity than even LSAS. Okay, I'll get off my horse.
I mean, how many times have we in the last 6 months talked about Chrome password management?
Yes, or Linus Tech Tips, or the Cisco Talos write-up of the breach in 2022, or. Yeah, exactly, Josh.
All right. Let's keep this matchup going. We got audio capture is disabled against good old C-Hop. We got the Silent Guardian against the RIM.
Whoa.
Whoa, what?
I'm going to go RIM Protector because I ain't going to want anything getting through
I'm going RIM Protector all day.
Got to be protected.
I'm invested in the RIM Protector. Yeah.
And call out another 0-day resistance if history tells us anything. 0-day attributes.
It's like they got a high school team to play a college team here, boys and girls. I'm not sure what the ref was thinking when they put this here matchup together.
How the audio capture?
I mean, did you see that Bishop Sycamore game?
Like, if somebody's already going to the point of getting my microphone recordings for the purposes of emulating or doing something malicious, then, man, I'm already targeted enough. It's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, like, if you're trying to capture my voice, we have some serious problems because the number of things that are secured with my voice compared to the number of things that you can do using ESOP or SOP, that's however we pronounce that this week, it's just left and right. It's kind of the Tim Duncan of Windows security.
I love it. And with no
was that
surprise,
a train? Did you plan a train? Did you park next to the train track? I'm concerned for you, Zach.
This is the plan. I had it scheduled. I was supposed to be announcing the
Elite the 7:14. Yeah.
I blew the timing, but it's okay.
Train was late.
If we would have,
that train was actually like accurately on time. It is 45 after the hour, so whatever. It is coming through here at 45. I digress.
All right, and we are coming in. That was actually
What?
the last game. See, I had it timed. I literally was going.
No,
for
but
it.
what was the win?
That was the round of 32.
No, but who
so-
won? Not the audio capture, I'm assuming.
No, it was a blowout.
Okay, good. All right. I had to make sure I
it was a
understood.
blowout.
I was making sure.
95
All
to
right.
72.
Okay.
So we now have an option here. We are at 15 till. We can go through another 8 games, or we can just banter, call
Let's do it.
halftime
Let's do
show,
it.
whatever.
What do y'all vote? I'm in for doing it.
I'm in for doing it, but I need a 30-second restroom break. I will be right back.
They call them
In this
bio
restroom
typically.
break,
All right.
I'll be right back.
Scan the QR code. Complete your brackets. Submit your winners. It's a game you can engage in, and winner is going to
Oh,
get.
you've actually got.
This
you've
is an
got. They
actual
can
QR
participate.
code. You can fill out your own bracket.
Oh, that's epic.
Next year, we will be doing, and this is already talked about, we will be doing a much larger prize and a much larger promoted
Oh, that's
event.
gonna be
So
fun. Oh.
that will be very awesome to do.
Listen, there needs to be some serious work that allows these participants to be involved in the LLM design. I want to have the influence to manipulate it now, not
Misconfiguration
afterwards.
Madness
Yeah.
board is going to be non-biased and tailor the AI.
The board. The board. We've got the president coming down to really change and shake things up this year, man.
Hey, Matt, while we have this halftime break, can you introduce us a little bit about what your newly launched nonprofit with multiple branches? Are you able to share anything about that?
No, absolutely, man. CyberRise, CyberRise.org is it's an organization that myself and Robert Chiaffi and Jason Slagle kind of found ourselves having to do, and then talked about it together and realized that that was kind of each of our decisions on how we wanted to manage our legacy, was really trying to be very much involved in both charitable giving and growing things that help solve the SMB cyber poverty line challenge. That's kind of the point. It started because we were doing the MSP 911. That is the ERT, or the emergency response team. We've taken, I think, something like 17 or 18 cases of MSPs that have been in major straits, right? Either a massive event, a mass encryption event for their organization, things of that nature. And we did that under the auspices of CompTIA, which is now GTIA, for about 2 years, along with many other awesome humans, right? Chris Lair and gosh, now that I started naming people, I'm going to be a jerk if I don't. I'm just naming Chris. And I'll name Chris because he's our new program director. So what is CyberRise? CyberRise is essentially a governance, management, fundraising, and oversight capability for programs that wouldn't exist in capitalism to serve the SMB underserved. That's it. We provide the insurance, we provide the governance, and that's mostly what our expenses are going to. Each of those orgs, though, those sub-programs, one of them is MSP 911. That's the emergency response team. Robert Chiaffi started that. That's run by Chris Lair. But there's also another one, which is the Framework Maps, frameworkmaps.org, which is a method of trying to take safeguards like CIS critical controls, break them into their taxonomical sub-elements, and then try to figure out what they actually mean and visualize them. And we use that work for so many different things that I don't want to go into. Zach, you've been a part of it for a long time. You're also one of those recipients of using that in the way that you map and use your tools, right? And as an extensibility. So short story is we try to create things that will make the world a better place for the small to mid-sized business in cybersecurity.
And it's a hell of a vision, and it sounds like the type of organization that could serve as that non-biased board, tailoring the Misconfiguration Madness LLM next year.
I would be so biased. You can't let me be part of that. You need to let somebody else be that human inside there.
No, it's a great mission, and excited to see where you guys end up taking it, and glad to be part of the journey. All right. And let's kick in. We got 12 minutes. We may run a little bit over for the following 8 games, but it's the Sweet 16. Let's kick off. We got the dark horse of Austin's choosings, the System Sentinel, head-to-head with Josh's Legacy Eliminator. How does the LLM consider these two settings? Which one is more valuable?
It's the left.
SMB.
All day long.
Josh was right. He already cheated. I know he must. I want to see what his. I want to see his access logs. I feel like he looked at this.
Austin, any argument you want to toss out there for your dark horse?
You're absolutely right, but my only argument would be that there is a hope that SMB is already disabled.
No,
And therefore,
I guess.
Not the
No,
rules of the game.
Josh,
but
Josh,
that's not the
you
rules
set
of
the
the
hope
game.
precedent,
You know
Josh.
what?
You set the hope precedent, actually, if I remember.
You're
Differently applied.
You're absolutely right. I should have reframed it, but I let my heart get in the way when I was filling out my bracket, and I went with my dark horse, act as part of the operating system, being that incognito admin, whatever. SMB1 probably takes it in a landslide, but I'm really hoping we put up a scrappy performance and it's within 8.
You know what's fun about this is that the only reason we're having this conversation is we have to tell ourselves there's nothing else there. This is the only thing. And I think that what can make you feel good about this, Austin, is there are other things usually. Hopefully MSPs are doing a lot of different things in these configurations. So I'm with you. I know your heart's in the right place because you're actually speaking from where the future and the reality is. And I'll close with saying this. I feel like in reality, these types of things are often looked at in these single lenses, but we do need to think about them in their broader impact. And here I would say acting as the OS is probably a greater damage than the SMB v1 if all layers are in place. But that's my thoughts.
And
I appreciate it, but
it'll
yet
be the left,
again,
though.
Josh is going to remind us
Yeah.
the rules of the game, and I am probably wrong.
It's 99-95. So yeah,
okay,
4 points.
Within 8 to 10 points, I was
we're 4 points. So you're good.
We
You're
put
good.
up a good fight, just like Purdue lost by 2. I'm sorry, Mrs. Frankowski. I know you were saying, "Hey, cut the Purdue slander." I love Purdue. I got 2 Purdue hats up in my closet. You know, I'm not trying to slander anything, but anyways, let's continue.
Well,
I've been missing all these comments. I'm stoked now. These are fantastic. Sorry.
All right, and the next game of the round is download restriction block malicious. I do believe again is a browser. We know how those have been weighted in today's tournament, going against the do not store LAN manager hash. So malicious blocker against the hash protector. What do we value more here?
I mean,
Yeah,
I know
I'm
what
gonna go left. Hard
left. Wow. Thinking there might be a blowout in the Sweet 16. Yikes.
It's not usually how it works, but maybe.
Josh, it sounded like you had an argument brewing.
Yep. I'm still going with the landman, but understanding that the game makers here have indeed been favoring the browser, I still think that if your credentials are vulnerable, you're already cooked. So
and I'll stand by the fact that if I want to attack you, I'm probably attacking you at the browser layer. Like I'm gonna give you an email. I'm gonna send you to a malicious or poison site. Like, I mean, only of now have we seen a resurgence of appliques where somebody's getting a pop-up from a web browser that asks them to control V when command, right? And so I don't know. I think I feel strong about the weighting of browsers as well from that perspective, but only to piss off Joshua and make a cogent argument.
The rollout of browser settings out into the MSP world has been very exciting. I've personally got to onboard I think 6 partners so far to the browser hardening setting, and you know the interesting thing, 50% of the time, it's only sample size of 6, but after the settings apply, it forces a Chrome update because without knowing it, right, it's been running on an out of date. Whether it was a component, it was the browser entirely. There's settings that can force the update that you can't opt out of. You can't delay, right? Even if it doesn't say Chrome needs to be updated in the top right, there's still internal components.
And joking aside, though, I mean, really, browser level purview in today's day and age with a huge SaaS adoption, especially in the SMB, is such a focus. I wouldn't most of the time try to waste my time attacking the actual endpoint. I would probably just try to attack the identity.
Well, and to your point, a lot of times I don't even need a browser or an actual endpoint. People don't. You have bring your own asset to work, and I'm not doing any demise. I'm not doing any device management because everything's SaaS based, and I don't think that I need to worry about the endpoint. It's not true, but
it's fair.
That is the thought that a lot of people have.
And the winner here, indeed, favors the browser. But let's take an extra little post game conversation here. Matt, you're talking about obviously using the browser as that point of entry. What value or how difficult, what happens to the attacker if it is a hardened OS? You're in by the browser, but if the OS is hardened, does that restrict a lot of your ability to do what you want?
And this is my opinion. I'm not the best at this. There's other smarter people that you might ask that question of.
And going to
But I will say that's fair. That's fair. And that checks both boxes. But I will say, like, if you think about it, it depends. And I know this is this cheap old cybersecurity answer, but if you're still living on an Active Directory world that has LSAS credentials and things that are juicy objects that fun to explore and permute and destroy and ransom and do bad things to, then like getting in and being able to gain access across and do those things, a hardened OS is going to help a lot, in my opinion. If you are living in a modern identity-centric world, which I found 80% of MSPs that we did the 56 hacking exercise on were all identity-centric. They were SaaS-centric or SaaSified-centric, ZT-type appliques to the identity layer. I'm going to go after the identity. I don't want the box. I want the token. And there I want the browser. And that's where I feel like the weighting is on this, in my opinion, is the browser is going to provide a better, I don't have to come see you. I don't have to come touch you. I don't have to come to be known on your box. I want to be in between you and something else and have you be on the wiser when I steal your token, convince you to register a device that has access and privileges as you inside Microsoft, or do things that let me stay away from all those ugly tools that'll know about me. Anyways, that's my thoughts, in my opinion.
And to Matt's point, if you narrow the scope to an MSP, 100%, definitely the browser. Now, if you're looking at something that is a large mature enterprise where they're mandating use of their hardware and you're still in that big Active Directory ecosystem, that changes your landscape. So you kind of have to know where you are in the field of things that are out there.
I smell toast, and I don't know if that's because I'm having a stroke or because Josh's voice is also choppy for y'all.
Yeah, it Josh, I don't know what happened to your connection or your audio input.
Okay,
I think we all understood you, but it was a little staticky.
Mom's making toast in. I'm good. Not a stroke.
I mean, we have a tornado warning going on right now, so maybe something.
Oh. It's not only Misconfiguration Madness. I can't think of something quick enough for
big browsers coming after him.
Louisiana spirals. All right. Hopefully that you are able to stick with us for the next at least 6 games. All right.
We might have to have a pause for facilities damage. We'll see.
Oh boy, we got the home court defender coming back, going against the credential cleaner. What do we got here?
We don't seem to love the private network very much, but we also don't seem to love the credential cleaner that much. I'm gonna throw a dart at this game. This is like me trying to figure out if Purdue's gonna win. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, bro.
I will shout out Austin commenting in the background. Tell your mom I'm sorry about the Purdue jokes. Mom is a longtime listener, never missed a webinar. All right, Matt's calling out on the private firewall. Josh, if that audio is working, where's your vibes going?
I'm going more W digest. Again, it's easy lateral movement, exploits and memory. So that's where my thoughts are.
All right. The home court defender going down. Must be playing in Indiana because that's where this game is held. Oh, it is a buzzer beater. Buzzer beater of a game.
Man.
Guys. This is getting close.
I feel good about that win. I just want you to know I put a lot of thought and heart and work into it. I also want to realize that I do not have anybody on from MSP ERT, but I have 2 people that I could say, hey, look at my 2 awesome program directors for ERT and for, but no, I didn't do that. I'm not that human. No, I'm not that smart. Yeah, love you, Bob. Love you, Steven. I'm sorry. Oh, I digress.
Oh, man. Oh, there are plenty of comments going on here, and I had no idea.
Yeah, they're so good. I just switched to that screen, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff happening over here.
Bob calling out. Bob calls Bob calling out. Bob just shut down. We might have to scroll up at these. These are great. Even Austin's commenting from the
so good.
Right
yeah, I know
here.
that guy. I know that guy. He doesn't look like that picture, but I know that guy.
And shout out Kevin Johnson. Thanks for joining and enjoying the vibes we're bringing here. I mean, even Josh is man, you guys are killing the comments. You should have let me know that these were happening. We even have Eddie Phillips literally commenting in here. You guys are cracking me up. All right.
I love that you're showing off how wealthy you are. You didn't even have to cash the check. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild, dude.
Honestly,
hide money nor talent.
I think it's an issue with the bank I took it to. They probably had a misconfig issue. They wouldn't catch it. The ATM kept saying insert a real piece of paper, and
it's wild. It's wild.
I couldn't understand it. And there is Mom joining at the beginning minute marker of this, listening to all the Purdue banter. Just the absolute pain. And Steven, all right, let's get to the next game here. Absolutely love the audience hopping in. All right, the next game. Oh, we got another. Josh. None of us wanted
Josh
to
is
see
in
this
conflict.
matchup. None of us wanted it.
The amount of pain.
Matt, do not bias any of this.
I think Zach did this one on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This was purposely just to hurt my feelings.
Oh, which one do they care more about? Oh, I'm not sure.
I hate saying this, but I think SMB won.
I think so too.
It hurts my soul to say that, but I think SMB won.
Can we get your Tulane classroom in here to just hear you claim that?
No, we don't want to ever talk about this moment again.
Austin, any thoughts here on this matchup?
Look, this one is a tough one. And I think the Mean Green Wave wants to lean towards the encryption expert. But unfortunately, I went to a Tulane basketball game a few years ago with my good buddy Brett. And we watched Taco Fall and the Central Florida defense absolutely stop the Mean Green Wave. So I have to go SMB1. And the encryption blocker, the encryption expert, pardon my language, just isn't up to snuff.
Here's where it comes down to, boys. Is the threat actor in the network? If they are, they can pwn me and do an RCE with an SMB V1, or they can sniff some stuff and hope I leave some other mistakes inside that traffic. I'm going left side, man. I'm going left side because it's an active exploit capability, active breach capability, and I'm putting my weight right there in my mind.
I also love Steven's call out here. Plenty of SMB support out there in the wild.
Steven.
Last 2 seconds. SMB
server message block versus small to mid-sized business.
Oh, it was a bit of a win. The chosen winner.
I feel good about that choose. I feel good about that choose.
Winner. And just noting from experience here, seeing these settings, onboarding machines, SMB1 is still the most found enabled, way more than they actually realize at the MSP themselves.
There is a program called Av Manager 2000, and yes, its origin was 2000, as I remember, and it is still running on SMB V1 with no op locks, if I still believe. You know, if anybody's using that and I'm wrong, I'll take it back. I'm sorry. But yeah.
I'm still seeing people use What's Up Gold.
Oh, no. I might die.
All right. Man, that was a good matchup, man. These are going to get hot. These are going to get fun. All right, next game, we got admin approval mode. Oh, going against a browser setting again. I think we already know where our gut initially goes, but any thoughts here? Are we going to switch up the trend and go with the OS setting?
There's a lot of arguments against it in my mind. I think browser lets me get you before I get you. Admin approval makes me get you after I've gotten you. And I feel like it's going to come down to the LLMs taking it on the site isolation of me hoping to stomp you into a site that gives me access to another identity or another browser capability. I don't know. My thought is that.
So I'm going to go with site isolation in this context within the frame of the rules. But I would like to.
I love that like you're protesting as saying the answer. I just want to point that out.
Nobody holds it.
But I do think admin approval mode enable is all about privilege escalation. And if I can't, even if I'm on the box, if I can't escalate, that's still a protection. I just think the site isolation.
That's why it needs to know whether it's on the box or not, right?
The box in the first place.
Yeah.
The defense against isolation. 1-on-1 or
86
5-on-1.
78.
What do we have?
Within 10.
And it's within 3.
Went the other way.
The LLM, the OS is weighted heavier here. I mean, if
was
you
it drinking that day?
I mean, if you do get access over the browser and you need to elevate privileges, I mean, this is the defense. This is the stopper. You need admin to do anything. You can take over a user session all day, but if you're going to get anything to happen, you're going to have to elevate. And I love it. It is there. I don't know how long we can leave this one on. I'm sorry.
We're talking about a de-escalation enforcer, my man. A de-escalation enforcer.
Oh man.
Well, this is kind of off the rails.
Man.
This is kind of off the rails.
Yeah, you can. I've never heard of a soft and secure Windows box, to be clear here. So
Fair.
very, very important to know the difference. So good call out there, Stephen. Thank you for it.
You have EDR without R, it's just ED.
Holy shoot, that was a great one. And first time I heard it, might put it on a t-shirt. All right, let's see where these firewalls are weighted yet again. We got the public firewall, and help me remember, guys, did the private firewall stay alive? Did they survive the Sweet 16? Do we remember?
Private firewall lost, I thought.
Private firewall might have went down. We actually may need to come back for confirmation on it. But anyway, the game at hand is a public firewall.
Public firewall.
NTLM v2 only, coming in at the LAN manager auth level.
You know, I think this is the same argument that we had earlier. If we believe what we've seen already, I'm going to say that it's going to be the Windows public firewall on, because it's about blocking stuff before it gets to the box.
Yeah,
and the
seems to prefer it.
Is all about preventing it once it's already on the box.
Josh, let's do this for our viewers at home. Anybody familiar with kill chain analysis? You start from the left side, at least if you're in the United States, and you build a sequence of events till you get to the right side where the body's laying dead and investigators are looking at it. When you think about a kill chain when it comes to cyber, the further left we can stop something, the less damage we have taken and the more layers that are still there to stop it beyond that. And when we think about stopping initial access before stopping escalation, I agree. Like if I never let them in, the escalation doesn't happen. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying in the way this is being processed, in a order of operands, I think the way the LLM's looking at it is further left better.
All right. Before we show this one, I did scroll up and see Mom did comment and asked for the Purdue So if we have any respect, Austin is going to pull an audible. We're going to show the scores while he returns. The winner is the firewall. If you have no other layers of defense, you got to be able to connect in the firewall.
And I think that's it. Zach, that's the way to say it. If I have no other layers of defense, I have to stop it earlier because I can't catch it. And I can't limit its blast radius. So, yeah.
And at least we do. We're going to maximize Austin briefly.
Have to.
Mom, we got our honorary Purdue host coming in hot. So
yeah,
hopefully this is making up for previous comments.
I am very sorry. I love Purdue.
I do too. I was really partial to some of their 800, 171. Never mind. Sorry. That's a side tangent for the Civil Cyber Fraud Initiative. I apologize. Anyways.
All right. The firewall exists in that single setting world. This is the critical choice. Right. And this is a little bit of dark horse calling it
I'm going to walk out on this one.
But as a note, this is a reminder that right-hand team, the patch performer, is a browser setting. This has been 50-50 in the round of 32.
I'm going to take the – now that you said that, I would have already said reducing vulnerabilities reduces the front end of that attack, but so does password management, so they put them in similar place. But I think this one's going to be a toss-up. I don't know where this falls. I'm going to put my money on the browser hardening, but – yep.
And as a note, take it into consideration. The game day impact does say strong and lengthy.
And yeah, they did tend to take strong, meaning more than just lengthy. But man, lengthy back then was strong, right? If you think about the orders of complexity difference, length was enough to make that challenging, but adding in different characters made it even more challenging as the kind of Moore's law continued to escalate, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the auto update override because obviously we've seen that the LMM here and the refs have favored browser settings. But as a pure point of protest, because I'm a NIST guy, I don't give anything about how long your password is. I want it to be a passphrase, and I ideally want you to be using passkeys so that you're not using passwords at all.
Sing it, sister. Yeah, I'll put on my robes right now and put on the choir robes and everything on that one. Like, let's get to passkeys. Get rid of these stupid passwords anyway.
Stay tuned for the round of the Elite Eight. We will all be in outfits, all robes. It will be entertaining and it will be game day special.
My Amazon purchases are about to get wild, son. Can I get a 44-inch rubber hammer? All right.
Call out, without knowing it, calling out Sention's latest swag design for the next trade show is an inflatable hammer that says, pen
That's
test hit
awesome.
hard, Sention keeps you harder.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, and that winner of this round is back to the
Yeah.
OS.
Wow. That's cray.
What?
I think it's heavily favoring strong. I think it's taking it as password strong. No other ways to attack. How about your token theft, you numpty? Yeah. I think the LLM's an idiot. I just want to say it. Now that they can't throw me out of this last game.
I'm just like, what about the passwords that I'm storing in the browser?
Right. Yeah, thankfully. Don't worry about those. They're at least nice and strong and lengthy.
All right. And we got the disable. Oh, we'll just go LSAS lockdown against, again, that good old.
I don't even know where to think. I'd probably say I'll just take Josh's answer.
I'll take the default. Josh, go ahead.
I mean, just the name of the second one just is like, you have the LSAS lockdown and the rim protector. That's rough. That's rough. I will say that I'm going to go with the LSAS, just because your SHOP is, memory armor, your SSPs, APs is, truly how you're getting onto that device. So
yep.
I'm going to go that way.
I agree. I mean, joking aside, I think the initial access aspect of that, the 0-day resistance, exploit evasion, credential defense, when you're looking on the other side, it's like they even call it mitigates advanced exploits. So exploits that are going to have enough capability to abuse your memory space enough to get you to run some arbitrary code or give away some disclosure or things of that nature. I'm with Josh. I think it falls left. Maybe there's some fanciful people that believe in the right side, but I think it's left all the way.
Mimikatz is still there all day, every day.
Yup. I'm going to IHOP after the game.
We got
Heck
IHOP,
yeah.
we got iKitchen, and for purposes of this score announcement, we have the configuration winner being the
Yes.
It got it right.
My bracket's looking solid right now. Solid.
Mine's looking solid too. We're looking out as we're doing it.
And that was
That's true. That does get
the
much better.
conclusion of the Sweet 16. We will be coming back for one more week where we'll all be in those fancy robes we just spoke about. Amazon order going wild. Elite 8, Final 4, and the championship game in one 1-hour session. It may wrap up sooner. Who knows? We may try to demonstrate some more to make this even more competitive. We'll see if we can think of something. We have a whole week. So an event will be getting made up later today. Invites going out after. Thanks for the audience and the engaging comments, and to the announcers. We had an amazing time. Any closing comments on why configurations matter from the panels?
Yeah. I think there's a to bring it back home to reality. If you're out there and you're not thinking about these things, then there is some degree of due care that I can prove you're not taking. And I think that when you start looking at a world based on, at least in the Anglican law structure, on reasonableness and on defensibility based on that reasonableness, I think it would be very unreasonable not to be managing these type of configurations. I'm not saying it's Sention. I'm saying it's whatever methodology you're doing, even to whatever efficacy you're doing it at. But if you're not doing it, maybe you ought to re-examine some things. So, yeah.
And that lay of the land, I think you guys talked about multiple times. I mean, the difference from an attacker gaining initial access and knowing the lay of the land, all of the default settings already in place.
Yeah.
The
Well,
difference
4.1, I mean, CIS 4.1 is an attempt to say, like, lots of things around, if you're not using this port, turn it off. If you're not using these things, turn it off. Those are all things that speak towards, don't let someone have rocks to beat you to death with. Like, maybe don't lay that. And I'll give you this example, right? The TSA goes through a giant orchestration to keep me from bringing a freaking fingernail file on an airplane. And yet in first class, I get handed a knife, a fork, and a spoon of sufficient capability to put between the ribs of the passenger next to me quite easily. Maybe two people. Right. And it's these types of things where when you care about security theater isn't enough. And when you start thinking about these things, you have to get to where you're actually doing active configurations and removing those things you're not using. And even what you said, Josh, like, or Zach, was like, saying, hey, this is the number one turned back off or the number one accepted. Great. Well, there's 99 other rocks I'm not getting beat to death with. Like, get those done. Anyways, all right, I'll get off my high horse before I fall and break my neck.
And to Matt's point, talking about defensibility, if you are a security professional, and particularly if you're one of those named professionals, like you're a CISO or you're a security director who is actually on your board of directors for your organization, you have potential personal liability and the ability that you have to go and defend the decisions that you made. Why did you leave SMB 1 open? And that's what caused you to get attacked.
Oh, no, I wasn't doing configuration. That's not my jam, bro. Which, how's that land?
And just to call out kind of the trends in the environment that I'm seeing, obviously I live in this world every single day, but the CISOs are slowly starting to talk about configuration management, whether they're going as granular as what Sention does or just using at least some medium.
No, we need to wait on Gartner to come up with a new ASPM term or something. Oh, I'm sorry.
Brother, there's going to be, it'll be a fifth one. It'll be coming. But I mean, end of the day, like the reason we do this is to bring better awareness, better fun to a very dry topic, right? That's why we're here. And to credit the industry and where I personally see it moving from my experience, I never got direct CISO from mid-size, large enterprise. Like they never really reached out. Like that wasn't someone who reached out to Sention. And now they're wanting to talk about settings. They are actually taking responsibility for their baselines, updating.
How to got hit by rocks, right? I would imagine.
And if a CISO, if an incident were to happen, and how do you justify, hey, when was the last time you updated your golden image? And they say, oh, 3 years ago, and the guy left, so we haven't done it since, right? Settings change, recommendations change. The browser changes constantly.
Welcome to the party. Would you like a rock?
Just announced, Sention will be passing out rocks at the next trade show.
I mean, let's be completely honest. A lot of this stuff is being done not because security is important, not because people in those roles go, yes, I really care about settings, but we have folks who are not security practitioners that are starting to care about it. The folks who are doing things like cybersecurity insurance, the actuaries who are now coming and saying, are you doing due diligence on your cybersecurity platform? Are you doing all the right things? And if you're not doing the right things, we're not going to pay your bill. And yes, it is an old fashioned. Of course, it's an old
that was first set in motion with Travelers suing ICS. If you want to know the origin of that, in 2022 in June, if I remember correctly.
And talking to our friends over at Beltex and DataStream Cyber Insurance Partners at Sention, they're saying that the number 2 reason for claim rejections is actually not being able to prove the change history of baselines and just configurations in general. This is a extremely hot topic.
No, Mom, I swear I locked the door.
Yeah, being able to prove and I think the worst thing that I get to unfortunately see, and I brought it up during the episode, right? SMB 1, right? They'll show me their Intune literally says this is disabled. And then when we look at the reg key level, I'll prove to them on that individual device, it's actually very much on and very much available. And that's who's responsible, who's liable. You're going to tell the auditor like, hey, I did this. Here's
my CSP said they did that. Here's my EULA that says that. Anyways, I digress. Right? That's a whole other show.
The IR, who's responsible? That's the worst thing about.
You're literally reading from one of my RSA slides that I just finished. Is the who's responsible? I'm actually doing a talk on shared responsibility. Would you stop reading my damn notes, man?
I just talked to Mark Menzies about it, so it's top of mind.
Let's be clear. I can give you a very simple visual. I can absolutely pull up my Ring camera and show you where when I left the house, I put the key in and locked my front door. What that Ring camera doesn't show you is that my daughter was expecting her DoorDash delivery, came behind me inside the house, unlocked the door.
Right.
There's no log of that. It doesn't show up on my Ring camera that someone came up to my door and unlocked it. It just shows that somebody walked in the front door.
I do have a log of that actually in my systems. So it's a real problem at home. But I do have digital locks for everything.
I love the name. Beginner Security. Thought they were tuning into a good old basketball talk show. Sorry to let you down, but
I hope we emulated some of the passion and preposterousness of a basketball hype show, man. I hope we did you right on Beginner Security. All right, I got to drop y'all.
This is it. Thank you, everyone.
Love y'all.
We will make the event for next
week.
Show.